Right now, you are on one of two paths. Path number one is the compulsive cycle. You tell yourself, this is the last time I ever watch porn or I ever masturbate. For real, never again. And then maybe you do last a few months, maybe a few weeks, maybe a few days, or if we're being honest sometimes, maybe even a few hours. And then you're right there, back at it, your heart is starting to pump faster, you have this guilty rush, and you fall right back into it. Then, of course, you feel ashamed, you experience regret, now your confidence is hurting, your relationships are suffering, and then you promise yourself, no, this is the last time forever, I'm done. And so it goes. Now, path number two is the discipline path. That is where you take back control over your life and you finally become the type of man other people can trust. Why? Because you can trust yourself. If you are on path one right now, then this course is what will finally be able to pull you out of that bullshit ass cycle and save you years of shame, isolation, regret, and countless relapses. Or if you've identified that you're more on the path number two, then that's great. You're probably doing a great job, but there's most likely some sort of ceiling you haven't broken through. It could be a few weeks, a few months, but it still feels like a bit of a battle. Still feels like a grind. Is that what you want for the rest of your life? That's not what I wanted. I want to experience real freedom. The freedom that allows you to not even want to do it in the first place. This is what this course is about. It will give you a level of clarity, confidence, and peace of mind you didn't even think would be possible. And trust me, I'm not just pulling this out of my ass, or it's not just built on some theory. This course is built on the foundation of over a decade of addiction, of personal experience where I was jerking off multiple times per day, ruining relationships, falling deep into shame. I didn't know what to do about it. But somehow, by the grace of God, I ended up figuring it out and I was free for over a year. That is when I decided to turn it into a movement called the Off Porn Academy. I built an audience of over 30,000 people online. Then I invited them into a community on Skool that ended up becoming the #1 school community in the addiction recovery niche. That's where I was able to help hundreds of men quit porn for good and even masturbation, which is what this course is about. What you're about to watch is based on working individually with hundreds of guys and looking at the common patterns of what is the real root cause of the problem and how can we solve it for good. Not some bullshit ass plaster solution like a corn blocker. A corn blocker? Really? Like some guys out there are giving advice that is actually making the problem worse. So this is not what you're gonna get here, okay? This is where we truly use science and psychology to solve the problem for good. So here's what we're gonna cover. The course will be separated into 3 different modules. Module number 1 will be all about the root of addiction and the new science of semen retention. If you skip that one, you won't understand what the heck I'm talking about in the whole rest of the course. Like, the way I look at it is very different from anything you've heard out there. And so trust me on this one, you want to stick around for the first module. Then module number 2 is all about what I created, which is the semen retention formula. This is the root, this is the juice of the course. It's where the real magic happens. And then number 3 is all about what happens once you break free, because now you have all this extra time and energy. Trust me, you haven't experienced that ever in your life. It's ridiculous how much potential is unlocked. So now it's like, what do we do with all of that new potential? That's why we're gonna cover the 3 pillars of life, how to build unshakable momentum in every single one of the pillars. Pillar 1 is biology, the body. Pillar 2 is psychology, the mind. Pillar 3 is spirituality, the spirit. Very important note, by the way, if you want to join a community of hundreds of guys who are doing the same thing that you're doing right now, mastering semen retention, for completely free, you're gonna be able to find the link to access it. Is the first link in the description. That's also where you can ask me private questions because I'm very familiar with the space in which I'm working. It's very individual, it's very personalized. So if you want to ask me something you wouldn't want to share with other people, that's where you can find me. Also, you'll find access to my other free courses on how to quit porn and lust and all that good stuff. And all of this completely free. This is my gift to you. So with that being said, enjoy my life's work. Hello my brothers, it's Danny Banchif here. First of all, I want to start by congratulating you on making the most important decision of your life. It takes courage to embrace a new beginning like you did, and it's my honor to serve you on that journey. I'm now in my third year of doing this, and I can honestly say I've never been more excited to share the latest tools and principles I've discovered in the art and science of progress. Now, before we dive in, I bet I can guess what you're thinking right now. Why the fuck is this guy just recording himself reading a PDF? I thought it was supposed to be a course. Well, let me welcome you to the first ever PDF audiobook video course. I mean, I'm probably not the first, but I haven't seen anyone else do it like this, so fuck it, I'm taking credit. Here are 3 reasons why I decided to choose this format. Number 1, if there's one thing none of us can take back, it's our time. I truly believe this is the most time efficient and bullshit free way for me to provide the highest amount of value per minute for you to consume. I literally treated this PDF as if I was writing a book, so I've reviewed it over and over again until I made sure it was only packed with value that can actually provide the results you're looking for. Number 2, different people learn differently. Some of us are visual learners, some auditory, some prefer to learn by reading books, others prefer listening to audio tapes, and some prefer video courses. Why only serve one group of people when I can serve all of them? I love listening to podcasts, but what I enjoy most is watching them on video, where I can see the expressions during the conversation. I always wished someone would do the same with audiobooks, but it never happened. So I thought, fuck it, I'm doing it. Number 3, according to Dr. Albert Mehrabian's research in the 1970s, 7% of communication is conveyed through words, 38% through tone of voice, and 55% through body language. I see no better way to transfer 100% of the information to you other than an audiobook video course where you get to read, listen, and see my expressions while doing so. Cool. So now that we're all clear on what's going on here, I'm assuming you've already watched the little introduction video on the About page of our community. If not, I strongly recommend checking it out first. It's packed with valuable information that will help you get the most out of this course. It's also where I define a lot of the fundamental principles behind my philosophy. So truly, if you haven't done it already, you can pause this video and go watch it right now. All right. So now that I know for sure we're all on the same page here, I want to get very clear on my intention with this course. It's actually very simple. I want to teach you one of the highest leverage and most underrated skills you could possibly have as a man in the 21st century. Matter of fact, I still have no idea why it seems to be so secret or underrated. This one skill will automatically 5x your self-discipline in less than 90 days. It will inevitably create a massive momentum of progress in all of the most important areas of your life: health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality, and it will give you an unfair advantage over all of your competitors. What I'm talking about here is semen retention, but more specifically, the semen retention formula. But this won't be just another course you start and never finish, because that will be a useless waste of time and money, right? We're here to create some lasting change. I want to see you prosper. That's why I've designed this course with 3 core beliefs in mind. Number 1, I believe most courses are longer than they need to be. Number 2, I believe most courses are more complicated than they need to be. And number 3, I believe the brain most easily processes information in chunks of 3. You are here to accelerate progress and diminish suffering in your life. Yes, just like every single thing all of us do all the time. But more precisely, what you really want is to overcome porn addiction for good. My commitment here is that I promise to do whatever it takes to give my absolute best to serve you on that journey until we literally shrink porn into irrelevance. I will do this by teaching you the semen retention formula using the 3 pillars of mastery. Number 1, biology, the body. Pillar number 2, psychology, the mind. Pillar number 3, spirituality, the spirit. In order to create lasting change in any area of life, I believe you need to make sure that those 3 pillars are effectively set up as a solid foundation for that new level of your life. Also, one last thing I want to make very clear here. This course is strictly focused on your personal relationship with porn and masturbation. You'll see incredible benefits here, whether you're single or in a relationship, but I won't be diving into sex, dating, or relationship advice. When I use terms like ejaculating, I'm mainly referring to masturbation, although you'll gain even more benefits by actually practicing semen retention, which I'll explain shortly. Ultimately, however, what you do with your sexual partners is none of my business. So, now that we're all clear on the purpose here, let me ask you a very important question. What is your commitment with this course? Are you going to take full responsibility for the results you're going to get out of it? Are you going to promise yourself to watch every single one of the modules until the end? Are you going to challenge yourself to actually do all of the exercises no matter how uncomfortable it feels? Are you going to make a decision that you are here to get a result whatever it takes? If your answer to these questions was no, then you might as well stop this video right now and go do something else, because it will be a waste of time for you. Without commitment, nothing ever happens. Now, if you didn't answer anything, that's okay. I do that sometimes too, but I strongly suggest you go back to the beginning of these questions and actually take a moment to really think about them. Those are very important questions. If your answer was yes, however, then let's put your commitment to the test right now. I want you to grab a piece of paper or open the notes app on your phone, pause this video right now, and write down 5 of the juiciest reasons why you're absolutely 100% committed to go all in and do whatever it takes to get a result out of this course. Why are you here right now? You could be doing a million other things. What is your intention with this? Why is it so important for you? Go ahead, I'll be waiting right here. One thing about humans is that we don't do anything without a compelling enough reason to do so. So if you're still listening to me without having done the exercise, then go ahead and do it. Good. I'm assuming that you've done it at this point. If you haven't, then this is your last chance. I promise, bro, you'll regret it if you don't. All right. So now that everybody has done it, there's one last thing I want you to do to fully reinforce the strength of your commitment. You can see it as your initiation ritual or your final way to prove to your subconscious mind that you are serious about it, that there's no coming back. I want you to copy that list from your notes app or to take a picture of that piece of paper and to post it in the new members section of the Academy. This is super important. Matter of fact, it's probably one of the most important exercises you'll do in this course. I'm serious here. You're going to understand why. Pause this video, do it, and come back later. Did you do it? Let's fucking go, my brother. Congratulations on officially beginning that new season of your life. That's what I call a fully committed person. Remember, the first of the 3 pillars of progress, it was courage. Yes, joining this community was one part of the courage, but embracing it and owning your commitment was the last piece of the puzzle. Now we're ready to begin. So let's get to work, shall we? Here's the outline for this course. Module number 1, we're going to cover the fundamental principles of addiction recovery, intermittent semen retention, and why you should give a fuck about it. Module number 2, we're going to finally reveal the highly anticipated semen retention formula, and I'll show you how each of you can apply it to your own personal situation starting today. Module number 3, where we'll dive into the key principles you need to understand for each of the 3 pillars of mastery, biology, psychology, and spirituality, to skyrocket your progress. You'll also learn powerful habits you can implement right away to strengthen each pillar, setting you up for long-term success. That's it. As simple as that, and then I have a little bonus for you at the end, but that's a secret. Congratulations for completing this introduction. See you in Module 1. Module number 1, addiction recovery and semen retention. What is addiction recovery? Let's start by defining addiction, because if we want to overcome something, then we better be sure we're talking about the same damn thing. So here's my favorite and simplest definition of addiction. I took it from Dr. Andrew Huberman, a world-renowned neuroscientist and host of the #1 health podcast in the world. He says, addiction is a progressive narrowing of the things that give you pleasure. That's it. And if we reverse engineer that definition, then enlightenment or freedom would be a progressive widening of the things that give you pleasure. Addiction isn't black or white. It's not about being addicted or not. It's about how addicted you are. Or on the reverse side, how enlightened you are. It's a spectrum that goes all the way from total addiction to total enlightenment. 99.99% of us are somewhere in between. And the goal is to move towards enlightenment. That's what progress is. So with that definition in mind, What does it really mean to overcome porn addiction? Well, it means to make your life feel so blissful, to create such a wide range of stuff that gives you pleasure that it shrinks porn into irrelevance. The less space it takes in your consciousness, the better. That's it. It's not about breaking free one time and then you're set forever. It's about consistently moving towards the direction of enlightenment. It's quite literally the adventure of a lifetime. I know it's probably different than everything you've ever heard in this space, but we must fundamentally rewire our way of thinking. That's what I had to do when I first realized that something wasn't right. We tend to jump into the game of addiction recovery with the idea that we have to completely cut the behavior out of our lives forever and ever until we die, and we must do whatever it takes to get there, even if it means fighting it and resisting it on a daily basis. But here's the big problem with this approach. Not only does it fail to make it any less relevant, it makes it even more relevant. As Carl Jung famously said, whatever you resist persists. And what I would add to that is that whatever you resist, you give more power to. Picture someone who's truly free from any sort of attachment to porn. If you ask them, have you ever been addicted to porn? They won't go, yeah, but I'm currently at 108 days on the NoFap timeline, bro. Like, I've reached the God level. They would probably go something like, wait, what the fuck do you mean, porn? Could you be addicted to porn? They just don't give a fuck. It's completely irrelevant to them. They don't care. That's the level we want to get to. That's what it means to truly break free. So as you go through this course and you discover the power of the semen retention formula, I want you to keep this one principle in mind. Our intention is to shrink porn into irrelevance. The more pleasure we get outside of porn, the better. The less space it takes in our consciousness, the better. It's a journey in process, not a destination. So if you're anything like me, I'm assuming you really want to know what that whole semen retention formula is all about. And to be fair, I'm excited to share it with you too. What is semen retention? Semen retention is the practice of avoiding ejaculation for an undetermined period of time to preserve and harness sexual energy. What is intermittent semen retention? The practice of avoiding ejaculation for a predetermined period of time to preserve and harness sexual energy. Which one do I recommend? I believe the most effective one is intermittent semen retention because of these three reasons. Number one, it's more enjoyable, which is the golden rule of productivity and consistency. Number two, you get 95% of the benefits without any of the downsides. Number three, it's more aligned with the natural laws of the universe, which is always a good idea considering that they have been around for billions of years while you and I have only been around for a few decades. So why is semen retention so important? Well, here are just some of my favorite benefits. Number one, more creativity than you can handle. Number two, overflowing abundance of energy and vitality. Number three, effortless optimism and confidence. Number four, increased self-awareness and discipline. Number five, magnetic charisma. I think it's safe to say that those benefits would significantly improve any man's quality of life, right? So what problems does it solve? It automatically and significantly reduces fear, anxiety, procrastination, inconsistency, laziness, fatigue, shame, insecurity, compulsivity, sadness, depression, distractibility. Semen retention is the single biggest lever of achievement in your life. It makes what you used to dream of seem effortless. It's my number one advice for men across any demographic or occupation. This is the key. But intermittent semen retention isn't a you stop once and never do again type of game. It's a process of slow and steady progress. By the way, just to give you an idea, this is a list of men who allegedly practice semen retention in certain periods of their lives. This means we cannot know for sure because we have no proof, but the practice is often associated with their reputation. You can pause for a second and take a look at these names. I'm just saying. Now, here's where my controversial take comes in. Here's the philosophy we have at the Off Porn Academy. Scheduling a moment you choose in advance when you can mindfully engage in sex, masturbation, or even porn is better than promising you'll never do it again and then breaking that promise at a random moment for the 167th time in a row. Now, before you get all angry at me, remember when I said we'll have to completely rewire our way of thinking? Stay with me here. You'll get what I mean in a few minutes. I want you to remember a very important question, and you have to be honest with me. What is your purpose for being here? Pull the list you wrote down earlier. Why do you really want to shrink porn into irrelevance and master your relationship with sexuality? Isn't it because you want to feel better, suffer less, be in control, trust yourself more, boost your confidence, make more money, attract more girls, have more energy, and stay laser focused on your goals? It's probably something along these lines, right? And don't we all just want to avoid the worst feeling in the world? Feeling like we're not in control of our own actions, to avoid being immersed in shame and fear of our own fucking minds, which once again betrayed us by tricking us into the same damn trap, almost as if some dark force has taken over us. That's what most of us want to avoid. Not the joy, the freedom, the peace, and the connection that a healthy sexual life can bring. In my own experience and from observing countless others in the past 3 years of my life, I've discovered that the number one reason behind porn addiction isn't even the pleasure we get out of it. It's what I call the deadly shame cycle. At a relatively young age, we get a small intuition one time that watching porn might not be the best usage of our time and energy, so we decide to stop. We go on maybe for a few days until we are quickly hit by the realization that it's much more difficult than what we thought, especially when we start experiencing strong urges. We're like, what the fuck is going on here? We try to resist them, but we eventually let the urges take control and we end up relapsing, which makes us feel very ashamed, regretful, and disappointed. We do not ever want to experience this type of pain again, so we swear to never ever watch porn ever again. Then we eventually experience very strong urges, which makes us lose control, and so it goes. Brother, every time you lose control and break a promise, you are reinforcing the idea that you're an undisciplined and weak man that cannot be trusted. If you can't even trust yourself and be in control of your own actions, then why would anyone trust you? The stronger this self-image becomes, the more likely you are to relapse. The more you relapse, the more you feel ashamed. The more you feel ashamed, the more likely you are to watch porn in order to escape that pain. And so it goes. This whole cycle is created because of one fundamental mistake: the all or nothing mentality, which is just an unconscious attempt to escape from the pain of responsibility. You lost control, it hurts like a bitch, and that's okay. We've all been there more times than you can imagine. Embracing it fucking sucks. Pretending like you'll never do it again always ends up sucking even more. Again, remember the reason why you began this journey in the first place? Be honest with me. Do you absolutely need to never ever do it ever again to experience all these benefits? Couldn't they be experienced after 14, 10, or even 7 days of semen retention? When has progress not happened one step at a time? When has rest and recovery not been part of the progress? If you're still not convinced, let me paint a clearer picture for you, because it's very important for you to understand this. Let's look at 2 different scenarios. Scenario number 1, you promise yourself that you'll never ever do it ever again, only to end up losing control and breaking your promise for the 167th time in a row. How would that make you feel? Ashamed, regretful, disappointed, and most importantly, afraid of your own mind, since you actually lost control. You'll most likely stay in that low state for a few days until you gain back the courage to try again, only for the same scenario to happen over and over again. All the opposite of what we want. Now, scenario number 2, you choose to set an evening in your calendar every 10 days in advance where you have the freedom to do whatever the fuck you want with your dick. Here are 3 things that will most likely happen during that period of 10 days. Number 1, according to a scientific study, your testosterone will gradually build up until you reach a peak of around 145% on day 7 before getting back to baseline over the next few days. Number 2, you'll experience strong sexual desires, but number 3, knowing that there's a reward waiting for you on day 10 and a real purpose behind what you're doing, not just desperately trying to escape some pain, you'll actually manage to stay in control, just like every other time in your life where you've managed to delay gratification for a bigger reward in the future. How will that make you feel? Number 1, the gradual increase in testosterone will give you more energy, courage, and motivation. Number 2, your ability to persist through the urges will subconsciously remind you that you are the master of your mind and that you are in control of your actions. It will shift your self-image, making you proud and confident in your ability to keep your promises. Number 3, experiencing strong sexual desire without wasting it. during those 10 days will also increase your creativity and your productivity through the well-studied phenomena of sexual transmutation, the natural transformation of preserved sexual energy into creative power. But the most important part here is that you allow yourself to celebrate your 10 days of hard work with a very high pleasure activity, orgasms, creating a positive reinforcement feedback loop, which is at the core of all human behavior. Whether we're aware of it or not, it is fundamentally impossible for a human being to take action without a reason to do so. And that reason is always either reward or punishment. As long as you're human, you cannot fight the natural laws of nature. If you have no desire to do something whatsoever, you won't do it. And if you consistently get rewarded for doing something, you will do more of it. So here are 3 crystal clear reasons why the second option, scenario number 2, is the best choice, especially for beginners, despite how counterintuitive it might feel for you right now or what you've heard all over the internet. Number 1, 95% of semen retention benefits can be experienced in the first 10 days of the practice. This is mostly due to its relationship with testosterone, just like it has been proven that the difference in the level of happiness between people who make 1K per month versus 10K per month is way more significant than between people who make 10K per month versus 100K per month. The difference you will notice between your first and your 10th day is way stronger than between your 10th day and your 31st day. Number 2, considering the underlying purpose behind the practice, even the consequences of actually overflowing your brain with cheap dopamine every 10 days are less destructive than repeatedly breaking promises, losing trust in yourself, and destroying your self-image. Matter of fact, it is much better to be highly rewarded for actually keeping a promise, like in the case of intermittent semen retention, than breaking a promise, like in the case of a relapse, where you literally get physically rewarded for not keeping your word. Number 3, life happens in cycles. Polarity is a fundamental and unbreakable law of the universe. We'll dive deeper into it in Module 3. There is day and night, birth and death, male and female, breathing in and out, north and south. I could give you 100 more examples, and while it's always fun to get philosophical, the key point is this. As long as you're human, you are subject to the law of polarity, and you're way better off aligning with it than trying to resist it. One of my early mentors, who is now making 100K per month, working less than 40 hours per week and traveling around the world as a digital nomad, used to tell me this: go all in on your business for 90 days, no breaks, no days off, and then fully relax and have fun for about a week. Then repeat. Hard work is important, but nobody can sustain that level of hard work for more than 90 days. It's delusional. Now, with my own experience, I strongly believe that work and rest are not separate things. They actually go hand in hand. This applies to business, but also to sexual mastery. Work hard, rest harder. Remember, the goal here is to feel in control. You don't even need to become the master of your mind. You already are. Look at your hands, bro. You can move them left and right. You've always been in control. You just forgot. It's time to reclaim that mastery by aligning yourself with the laws of the universe and playing the game mindfully. Intermittent semen retention is the key. You are way better consciously choosing to masturbate every few days than unconsciously losing control and relapsing every few weeks. Trust me, your future self will be thanking you. Once you have built the undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are, that you keep your promises, then we'll be able to explore the next levels of the game. It's only the beginning. So, you just completed the first half of the course when it's all about the mindset. What a win, my brother. Keep up the same energy. Now is when the actionable and transformative part begins. You haven't even seen anything yet. See you in Module 2, where we finally discover what that whole formula is all about. Module 2, the semen retention formula. Let me show you how to 5x your self-discipline in less than 90 days and build unshakable confidence as a result. If you're watching this right now, I'm assuming that your natural rate of masturbation is anywhere from every day to a little bit more than once per week. Here, I'm not talking about your peak no-fap streaks when you were using all of your willpower or when most of your sexual needs are met by a long-term partner. I'm talking about your default rate when you don't regularly have sex or before you actively started trying to change the habit. Now, if any of you naturally manage to masturbate less than once per week almost effortlessly, that's awesome. Keep up the great work. But you might get a little less value from this formula. You already got the discipline most people are looking for. So you can still follow along and take what resonates with you, but what I'm about to share is designed for people who naturally masturbate more than once per week. One last thing before we dive into the actionable part of the course, I use calendars a lot, and for a good reason. One key thing I've learned from all my wins and my failures is this. If you talk about it, it's a dream. If you envision it, it's possible. But if you schedule it, it's real. You must never leave the site of a decision without taking action first. And if you can't take any action right now, then scheduling a moment in your calendar is the best thing you can do. So when I talk about scheduling things in your calendar, I'm serious. It matters. Do it. Now let's get to work. Number 1, make a personal assessment. How often did you masturbate on average before trying to change your habit? Choose one of the following options. Every day, every 2 days, every 3 days, 4, 5, 6. Important note, super important. We are focusing on the time gap between days when you masturbate and days when you don't. The number of times you masturbate on a particular day is not important for this exercise. For example, I used to masturbate between 2 to 5 times per day, so what I would have chosen is every day. Now, number 2, discover your personal road to 5x discipline in less than 90 days. This is what we're about to do together. Remember the 10-day scenario I gave in the previous module? Well, each one of you is going to have a specific schedule to follow depending on your natural levels of libido. This is the reason why we completed the personal assessment in the previous step. Then number 3, once we're going to discover your personal road together, let the semen retention games begin. Make it a non-negotiable to do whatever it takes to avoid ejaculation only during those SR time gaps by using all the tools I'm about to give you in the next modules. Then celebrate the shit out of your rest days by doing whatever the fuck you want with your dick. Get so much pleasure that you're almost sick of it. This is what will create the positive feedback reinforcement loop that we're looking for, where you get highly physically rewarded for actually keeping your promises, not breaking them like in the case of a relapse. So, let's start by covering step by step the most common example here. So most of you will have chosen every day, which means your goal to 5x your self-discipline is to do it every 5 days. That's it, okay? So let's walk through it step by step. Let's say I jerk off every single day. What I would do is schedule a moment in 2 days, today, okay? So we start by doubling it. Cool. Once I achieve that, it will be day 2 of the journey. So my first rest day will be day 2. Once I celebrate, I do whatever the fuck I want with my dick. What I'll do is I schedule a moment in 3 days, which means I have increased my time gap by 1 day. You're following me? So in 3 days, I do whatever the fuck I want. And then I increase it by 4. And then I increase it by 5. Which means on day 11, my 4th rest day, I will already have achieved the goal of 5xing my discipline. But since we have higher standards, we're going to try to hit 10x discipline, okay? So we're just going to continue raising the bar. So plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, which means on day 51, you will have experienced a 1000% increase in sustainable discipline because you've done it progressively, right? Within 51 days. Now, very important, each one of these tables will be available for you in the SR formula section of the classroom. So don't worry, you'll be able to see them again, ask questions if you need to. Then, next example, if you chose every 2 days, then your goal to 5x would be every 10 days. Again, we increase it by 1, just like the previous example. So, we start by doubling. This time, 2 times 2 is 4, right? So, your first rest day will be on day 4. Then, you raise the bar by 1 day, so on, so on, so on, until you reach your goal on day 49. Again, we are way ahead of our time, which means we can aim for 6x discipline. Which means, in that case, you will have increased your discipline by 600% within 72 days. Then I'm going to quickly go through the rest of them. Again, you can see them in the SR formula section. So, if you chose every 3 days, your goal is to go every 15 days. But this time, we're going to increase it by 2 instead of 1. Okay? So, we start by doubling. 3 times 2 equals 6. Then, we raise the bar by 2 days. 2 days, 2 days, which means you will hit a little bit more than your goal. So a little bit more than 5x on day 66. Okay? Then if you chose every 4 days, the only difference is, again, a little bit more of an increase every time. So plus 3 days. Your goal is to get to 20 days. So we start by doubling, then we increase by 3, we increase by 3, boom, boom, until on day 70, you will have increased your discipline by 500%. Then every 5 days, only difference is plus 4, a little bit of a wider gap. Again, same thing. We start by doubling, plus 4, plus 4, plus 4. You reach your goal on day 90, right on the point, okay? A little bit more than 500% even. And then last but not least, every 6 days, this one, we go all in. So we increase by 6 days every time, okay? Again, we start by doubling though. That's the case with everything. And then plus 6, plus 6, plus 6, 500% increase in sustainable discipline within 84 days. All right? I know it's probably different from any other approach you've ever come across. And that's a good sign, because if you're here listening to this right now, it means none of the previous approaches worked. Remember, you cannot improve what you don't measure. By the way, what happens after your initial 90 days? You progress as you wish with these 3 options. Number 1, you might decide to keep on raising the bar in terms of days. Number 2, you might realize that this is actually your optimal rate of ejaculation for now and decide to progressively lower the intensity of the content you're using instead. For example, you might go from porn videos to porn GIFs to porn pictures to non-nude thirst traps to non-nude pictures to imagination and to mindful masturbation, which we'll cover in a future course. Last but not least, you might decide to do both at the same time or something else. Regardless of what you choose, you will have no other choice than to progress. Not because you have to, but because you'll get addicted to it. I can say this with certainty because I'm talking from personal experience and from observation. That whole process we just covered, my friend, is how we experience all the benefits of the sexual mastery journey without any of the downsides. Most importantly, is how we shrink porn into irrelevance for good. Those years of spending countless hours negotiating with yourself, wondering if you should or shouldn't do it, if it's the right time, if you're on the right path, or how the hell you'll manage to never do it again, are over. Now you have a simple and proven formula to follow. It will free up so much mental space in your head that will naturally be filled with what truly matters to you, not by some endless battle that ironically keeps you away from the real freedom you've always been looking for. You don't need to carry that weight for the rest of your life, my brother. It's time to feel light again. So, right now, schedule your first rest day in your calendar and let the journey of progress begin. So, whatever you chose, every day, every 2 days, every 3 days, start by doubling that, right? In all cases, it's doubling. So, double that time period, schedule it in your calendar right now, and once it's done, screenshot the rest day in your calendar and post it in the Take Action section of the community. This is where I'll ask you to share your completed tasks throughout the rest of the course. And there's a very specific reason for it. The American Society of Training and Development found that people who make public commitments are 65% more likely to get results than those who play the game on their own. Do y'all realize that? Even more impressively, those odds rise to 95% if you have regular meetings with accountability partners, which we do with the daily masterminds. Right here. I told you I was going to do whatever it takes to get you that result. You made that commitment, and that matters. So when I invite you to post in the Take Action section and to participate in the daily masterminds, do it. No matter how uncomfortable it feels, be an example in the community for those who need it. Now, you probably have many questions or even objections that came to mind as we went through these first few modules. Remember, you can always reach out to me personally, ask them during our daily masterminds, or post about them in the community. Other people will be able to help you. However, I just want to let you know that more often than not, they will likely be answered in the upcoming modules, or they may even become irrelevant as you go more deeply into the teaching and into your journey. With that being said, I'll see you in the next module where we're going to cover how to build an unshakable foundation for your new lifestyle with the 3 pillars of mastery. Much love. Module 3, how to build an unshakable foundation for your new lifestyle with the 3 pillars of mastery. Pillar number 1, biology, body. 3 ways in which the semen retention formula increases your biological health. Number 1, testosterone. A 2003 study discovered a staggering 105.7% increase in testosterone levels on day 7 of semen retention, but it does come back to baseline afterwards. As you can see, there's also a slight increase in testosterone right after ejaculation, which was proven in later studies as well. It's also important to note that testosterone levels naturally fluctuate throughout the day, following a 24-hour male hormone cycle, with testosterone peaking in early morning. Your experience of life is directly correlated to the hormones in your brain. Higher testosterone levels are known to increase agitation in the forms of drive, libido, competitiveness, and alertness. That would explain why most of us experience peak focus in the morning, give the least amount of fucks in the evening, and face the most nerve-wracking overthinking when we wake up in the early dark hours of the morning. Feels good to know you're not alone, doesn't it? Since leaders anticipate and losers react, it's very important to become aware of these patterns to avoid being caught by surprise. For example, in my case, I've noticed a clear cycle between flow and agitation directly correlated to my semen retention timeline. At the time of recording this course, my favorite and most optimal rate is every 11 days. Going shorter, I miss the full benefits. Going longer, I get distracted and make counterintuitive decisions. Again, keep in mind, I used to naturally masturbate 2 to 5 times per day. My libido is very high naturally, but that's not the case for everyone. For some of you, your optimal rate might be much higher. It's just my example, okay? Day 1 and 11 tend to bring some agitation. Between days 2 and 5, it flows effortlessly. Between days 6 and 8, there's agitation again, and days 9 and 10 bring creative breakthroughs. This pattern holds true for me about 95% of the time. I'm not even exaggerating, okay? The point here is that you're also going to start noticing repetitive patterns in your internal states as you go through the journey. Don't be surprised. Being aware of that stuff allows you to move through life with much more stability. You'll discover your own natural patterns after a few months, and trust me, it's really exciting. Action steps. You don't have any specific tasks to do here. Just stay curious and aware of your own mental emotional patterns throughout your SR journey. Again, since your experience of life is directly linked to brain hormones, being aware of these cycles is key for staying in control. Now, let's move on to the next one where you have some action to take. Number 2, dopamine. Every action we take is driven by dopamine. Remove dopamine from your brain and you'll become normal, useful, than a carpet. Matter of fact, there was a study done on mice where researchers depleted dopamine levels in their brains, meaning they basically removed them. The mice didn't lose their ability to move or function physically, but they completely lost the motivation to seek out food or engage in activities they would normally pursue. They literally only ate when food was directly placed in their mouths. When researchers placed the food just a few centimeters away, the mice lacked the drive to move towards it and eventually died of starvation. Moral of the story, dopamine is pretty fucking important. Learning to become a master at managing levels of dopamine in your brain is a skill that will fundamentally enhance the quality of your life. So here's how it works. The higher the dopamine, the bigger the crash. The bigger the crash, the bigger the desire for more dopamine. To paint a clearer picture for you, I want you to remember the last time you let yourself indulge in a pretty intense amount of porn. What happened after? How did you feel about the idea of studying for your next exam, or doing some cold calls, or cooking a healthy meal? All of a sudden, almost every good thing feels dreadful, doesn't it? That's the dopamine deficit effect, right? Since the crash is an uncomfortable place to be in, what you're looking for is the fastest and easiest way to get back to baseline right now as fast as possible. Not what will be good for you on the long term. In other words, you're looking for a low effort activity that brings high pleasure. But dopamine has never been the problem. Matter of fact, it has been conditioned into our brains to drive evolution forward. Progress triggers dopamine. That's why we feel so happy when we're experiencing personal evolution. The real problem is cheap dopamine. The problem is in the modern lifestyle that makes incredibly high levels of pleasure available with insanely low effort, like porn, drugs, social media, etc. That's when progress starts to feel boring. After all, why would you put so much effort into progress when you could get even higher levels of pleasure with way less effort? That's a very good question. And from a biological perspective, since nature always chooses the path of least resistance, it actually wouldn't make any sense. That's why awareness is our only key out. We have no other choice than to drastically reduce cheap dopamine from our lives. You cannot fight the laws of nature. Remember the rat study? No matter who you are, you won't take consistent actions towards your goals without a healthy dopamine system. If you have no desire to do something whatsoever, you won't do it. I know I've already said it, but repetition is the mother of skill. The only way you progress is by making it desirable. The only way you make it desirable is by allowing your brain to associate natural levels of dopamine to it. The only way you allow your brain to get back to its natural state is by drastically reducing all other cheap and overstimulating dopamine sources. Not only is your brain naturally wired for success, but you're also living in a time where the tools to achieve it are more accessible than ever. Yet, it's also the easiest time in history to do nothing. Your only job is to align yourself with your brain's natural power and to make its job easier. Do that, and the world is yours. So here's your first task in this module. 3 steps to trick your brain to like doing hard stuff. Number 1, make a list of all your consistent habits you can think of outside of porn or masturbation, of course. You already know what to do with that. Once it's done, place each one of them on the quadrant of pleasure. Okay? So on the top left, you have high pleasure, high effort stuff. Purpose. So an example would be striving for financial freedom, building a business, right? Getting in shape, that type of stuff. Then you got low pleasure, high effort stuff. That's the boring stuff, right? Washing the dishes, doing your laundry, so on. Then you got high pleasure, low effort. That's the type of stuff we want to get rid of. That's the cheap pleasure. Video games, mindless scrolling on social media, etc. And then last but not least, you got the low pleasure but low effort as well stuff, the essential one like brushing your teeth and the basic stuff, okay? The ultimate goal here is to minimize cheap pleasures, maximize purpose, delegate the boring stuff, and only do what's most essential. But let's focus on the 2 most important ones right now, which are minimize cheap pleasure and maximize purpose, okay? So step number 2, minimize cheap pleasure. Note down how often you tend to engage in each one of these habits, on average, for example, once per day or once every 2 days. Then triple that time gap and schedule a moment in your calendar where you fully let yourself engage with it. That's right, just like you did with the Semen Retention formula, but this time there's no specific formula. Keep it simple, just triple it, okay? So if it was once per day, then schedule a moment in 3 days. If it was once every 3 days, then schedule a moment in 9 days. You get the point. Again, this applies to all other cheap pleasure outside of porn or masturbation. You already know the formula you have to follow for that stuff. Okay, number 3, maximize purpose. Fill all of those new gaps in your calendar, right? So you've liberated time. Fill it with purpose. Look at all the high effort but high pleasure stuff, so the purpose stuff, habits, and put more of those in your calendar. As you progressively widen the gap between cheap pleasures and fill that space with purpose, it will become increasingly easier to delay cheap gratification until you reach a point where it basically almost shrinks into irrelevance. That's how you hack the system. Pleasure is essential. Cheap pleasure is dangerous because of the dopamine deficit effect. The least cheap pleasure you get in your life outside of porn, the easier it will be to reduce porn. Once these tasks are done, screenshot the schedule habits in your calendar and post them in the Take Action section of the community. Last but not least, number 3, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. It is very well documented in scientific literature that your semen contains essential vitamins and minerals such as vitamin C, magnesium, zinc, vitamin B12, and more. All of them are crucial for your health, and some are even proven to be powerful antioxidants. If you don't know what antioxidants are, they're like protective shields for your cells. They protect you from stuff that can cause inflammation, which is linked to most diseases such as cancer, heart, and diabetes. Now, here's the important part you need to understand. Your body is constantly making sure you have enough sperm to create babies through a process called spermatogenesis. I think I pronounced it right. Right? So, right after ejaculation, however, there's a short term replenishment phase where the body has to make up for the loss. That's when there's an increased demand for nutrients and energy in your balls. When you jerk off every single day, you're literally wasting essential energy and nutrients that could have been used for other important stuff. Moral of the story, be kind to your body. Don't drain it mindlessly. Future you will be thankful. Action step, again, you don't have any particular task to do here. You just have one more solid reason not to jerk off every single day. Only if you give a fuck about your health, of course. Pillar number 2, psychology, the mind. Number 1 way in which the semen retention formula increases your psychological health, your self-image, your identity. Here's a very powerful quote by Alex Hormozy. You don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror. You become confident by having an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are. As we've already learned earlier in this course, addiction lies on a spectrum, but the most fundamental addiction we have is to our identity, our personality structure. Let me explain by giving you a story and then we'll dive deeper on the principle behind it. Have you ever heard of multiple personality disorder? Essentially, an individual with this disorder can experience having multiple personalities, ranging from as few as 2 to as many as 100. Each of these personalities correlate to different behaviors and outlooks on life and on self. But here's the most fascinating part. Some personalities may be left-handed, while others are right-handed. Some may need glasses, while others don't. One personality could have diabetes or be allergic to peanuts, while another might not. There's even a case in 2015 where a woman with dissociative identity disorder spontaneously regained her vision only in some of her 10 personalities after being blind for years. Brain scans revealed that her visual cortex was active when her sighted identities were in control, but inactive when her blind identities took over. Like, come on. It's not an exaggeration to say that our personality creates our personal reality. Our mind is a goal-striving mechanism and it works automatically on the goals we set for it. Success is built within our nervous system. Every single human being on this planet is successful. The key difference is that our definition of success is a direct reflection of our self-image. If we see ourselves as failures, we will successfully fail. If we see ourselves as anxious people, we will successfully be anxious. If we genuinely see ourselves as valuable entrepreneurs, we will successfully become millionaires. Self-image or identity is the most powerful driving force behind human destiny. We do not fly to the height of our talent, we fall to the level of our self-image. This is exactly why intermittent semen retention is so fucking important. Remember when we talked about the shame cycle? I've already said it, but I'm going to repeat it here because this needs to be drilled into your brain. Every time you lose control and break a promise, you're reinforcing the idea that you're an undisciplined and weak man that cannot be trusted. If you can't even trust yourself and be in control of your own actions, why would anyone trust you? The stronger this self-image becomes, the more likely you are to lose control. The more you lose control, the stronger the self-image becomes. That is why no matter what you do, when it comes to masturbation or porn, you must absolutely be certain that you do it mindfully. That it's your conscious choice. You're way better consciously masturbating every few days than unconsciously losing control and relapsing every few weeks. So here are 3 steps to build an unshakable self-image that works for you, not against you. Step number 1, know your outcome. Action step. I want you to grab that list of reasons we created earlier of why it's important for you to overcome porn, but this time I want you to look at it through a perspective of who you want to become. Focus on character traits. What is the most exciting, inspiring, and legendary version of you could possibly imagine? What type of person would you be grateful to be every single day of your life? Put me on pause right now and go do it. Once it's done, take a screenshot or a picture of your upgraded list and post it in the Take Action section of the community. Step number 2, immediately cut any bullshit limiting language out of your mouth and replace it with the language your future self would use. Let me tell you a story to paint a clearer picture for you. I spent the first 18 years of my life walking around with a bunch of labels stuck to my forehead. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder at 7 years old. Every single night, I would wake up in the dark hours with a feeling of terror. I'd immediately rush into my parents' room seeking safety. My mom couldn't get a good night's sleep for years because I was afraid of monsters. That fear of monsters later evolved into a fear of other humans judging me, aka social anxiety disorder. I spent my teenage years paralyzed by this fear. Every time I had to speak in front of the classroom, I felt like I was on the verge of a panic attack. It almost feels like I'm talking about a past life now or a different person, but it's true. I had a crush on a girl for 4 years and I couldn't say a single word to her. Then, towards the end of my teenage years, I went through another very difficult phase, depression, another little label added to my collection of badges. Today, I can proudly say that I've managed to become an actor, a model, a public speaker, a creative entrepreneur, a content creator, and all of the beautiful women I've dated to this day have approached me first. Now, that's what you call magnetic charisma. And yes, I'm very humble about it. But on a real talk, I'm painting this picture so that you can truly understand how fast everything can change. And if it worked for me, then it can certainly work for you. So do you know what partially made all of this happen? Fucking words, sounds, symbols. The craziest example I have for you is the day I decided to read Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. He said, the words we attach to our experience becomes our experience. Interesting, I thought. What if I stopped using the words depression or anxiety and just replaced them by calling them uncomfortable feelings instead? I am not exaggerating when I say that anxiety became completely irrelevant to my life from that day on. I'm not saying I'm never afraid. I experience fear all the time. I just don't use it as a limitation anymore. I actually use it as a driving force towards progress. I'm feeling uncomfortable. Great, time to take action or to shift my perspective. Stories shape our world. Language matters. Fuck limiting beliefs. Fake it till you make it. It's just an illusion anyways. No combination of symbols or sounds could describe the magnificently complex being you really are in your deepest essence anyways. So might as well use it to your advantage. Action steps. Number 1, grab a piece of paper or open the notes app on your phone. Pause this video right now and write down 5 of the most limiting labels you've been using to describe yourself in the past. Like right now, bro. Number 2, change each of these words for something that is equally true, just lighter. For example, anxiety or depression being turned into an uncomfortable feeling, or problems becoming challenges. And once it's done, take a screenshot or a picture of that list and post it in the Take Action section of the community. Now, changing the language you use to describe yourself is an essential step, but it's only the beginning. Number 3, back it up by building an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are. I could have called myself a confident man all day long, but I still had to go through years of feeling gut-wrenching anxiety when I had to speak in front of an audience or approach an attractive girl. That stuff was terrifying, but guess what? I still fucking did it. I enrolled into theater class. I challenged myself to speak to 1 stranger per day. I enrolled in improv classes. I did whatever the fuck it takes until I got to the point where I can now confidently say it almost feels natural to me. Same thing with content creation, same thing with business. By definition, in order to get a new outcome, you must take new action. So here's what we're gonna do. You're not gonna like it, but I'm not here to tell you what you wanna hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. So you're going to look at that list you made of the person you want to become earlier, and you're going to ask yourself, what is one action, one decision that will get you closer to becoming that person right now? Something you've been putting off for a while that you know you should do, but you just never had the balls to do it. Note that shit down and go fucking do it. Don't just say you're going to do it. Do it. If you can't do it right away, schedule it in your calendar right now. Remember what I said earlier about never leaving the location of a decision without taking some action first? Do it. This is the kind of moment you'll look back on one day as the start of a great adventure. So many of us get stuck waiting for the right moment. Don't wait for the right moment, it will never come. Right now, like this second, there are thousands of people out there who want exactly what you want, and they're already overcoming obstacles, gaining experience, and getting wiser while you're out here waiting for the right moment. Exactly. Now go do it. And once it's done, share it with us in the wins section of the community. Proof is always the best, but a written story is better than nothing. Bonus, make sure to celebrate the shit out of it when you do that type of stuff. Never forget the positive reinforcement feedback loop. I've already said it, but that's the type of stuff that's worth repeating. Everything human beings do, we do out of a desire to gain pleasure or to avoid pain. That's it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. What we associate pain and pleasure to is the fundamental driver behind our behavior. Celebrating small wins gives you pleasure, therefore increasing the likelihood that you'll do it again. Or in our case, stick to a commitment in the future. Pillar number 3, spirituality, the spirit. There are certain laws of the universe that have been around for billions of years. You and I have only been around for a few decades. It's much smarter to align yourself with these laws instead of trying to fight against them. Here are 3 laws of the universe through which the semen retention formula increases your spiritual health, followed by a 3-step formula on how to finally turn your greatest pain into your greatest power. Number 1, the law of attraction, focus. The top 1.1% of the richest people in the world own 48.8% of global wealth, while the bottom 52.5% of the world own literally 1.2% of the global wealth. This is mind-blowing, and it might sound unfair to you, but there's a reason for it. I call it the algorithm of the universe. We don't experience life. We experience the life we focus on. Your subconscious mind operates on its own energy-based algorithm. Where focus goes, energy flows. Whatever you focus on the most, you will experience more of. If you focus on fear, you'll see more things to be afraid of. Focus on abundance, and more reasons to be grateful will appear in your life. Our lives are a direct reflection of the information we consume on a consistent basis. This is the real meaning of manifestation. Your subconscious mind is responsible for 95% of your thinking, feeling, and behavioral habits. Your habits are responsible for your results. Therefore, shift your subconscious mind and you will shift your results. Think about it. What are these top 1% millionaires consistently exposed to? Overflowing levels of abundance and other millionaires with similar standards and mindsets around money. This is the real reason why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's all a question of environment. It's very difficult not to stay wealthy when all you see is abundance and all your friends are balling like crazy. I already know that when some people read this, they go, well, if it's all about environment, then I'm destined to stay the way I am for the rest of my life. Wrong. That's exactly why you have the power to create anything you want, no matter where you start from. There are 2 crucial things you need to understand. Number 1, we don't experience objective reality directly. We experience the reality our senses are perceiving at any given moment. Proof you weren't consciously aware of the sensation of your clothes touching your body until you read this sentence. Number 2, on a chemical level, the human brain cannot make the difference between imagination and reality. Proof you can experience real anxiety while watching a horror movie, even if you know it's fictional. Therefore, when we dig a little bit deeper, we realize that the most important environment isn't about the external world at all. It's actually our internal environment. It's all about the information, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, and the energy you are exposed to on a daily basis. Just imagine how transformative it will be for you to move beyond the emotion of shame and all that brain-damaging bullshit content holding you back. It's more than just overcoming porn addiction. It's fundamentally reshaping your reality. Number 2, the law of evolution, progress. Without pain, there would be no reason to evolve. Without evolving, there would be no reason to exist. Pain and loss are inevitable. Resistance to that truth is the root cause of all meaningless suffering. Stop looking for your purpose. There's one and fundamental universal purpose: evolution. What we're all ultimately seeking is permanent enjoyment, so heaven, and what we're all trying to avoid is meaningless suffering, so hell. Evolution is the most optimal and effective way for us to move towards both of these goals at the same time. And it has been conditioned into us through our instinctive desire for progress as well as our fear of suffering. You create progress, become valuable, and avoid suffering by solving problems. This is why the most effective problem solvers are also the most highly rewarded individuals in life. Happiness is not an equation that can be solved. It can only be experienced when you align yourself with the fundamental laws of the universe. Become a master at problem solving, and you will be rewarded with an abundance of health, wealth, love, and happiness by the natural algorithm of life. Like I've already said plenty of times, I genuinely believe that healing and mastering your relationship with sexuality is one of the highest leverage problems you could focus on solving as a man. Not only does it improve your self-image, but it also almost automatically forces you to develop skills such as self-awareness, discipline, courage, forgiveness, consistency, faith, self-education, and more, which will all inevitably reward you in the most important areas of life. This is why it's a blessing in disguise. Number 3, the law of polarity. Everything in the physical universe has its opposite. Light and dark, birth and death, success and failures. Human beings experience life through contrast. Just as you literally cannot conceptualize prosperity if you've never heard of poverty, or peace if you've never known suffering, you wouldn't know you're alive if there was no death. Let me paint a clear picture that will make the power of this law crystal clear for you. We've all heard the wise saying, perspective is everything, right? Well, it's true. We don't suffer because of external conditions in our lives. We don't even suffer because of our thoughts or emotions about those external conditions in our lives. We suffer because of how we perceive our own thoughts and feelings about those situations. It's the labels we attach to them, bad or wrong, or something I shouldn't feel or think, that cause the real pain. While in reality, that's just part of the human experience. Your urges have never actually been the problem. It's how you perceive them, how you react to them, and how you judge those actions that makes you suffer. Most of us end up spending our lives labeling it with all sorts of problems instead of just living it. The way I realized that is by observing how I always used to complain about the anxiety I felt when I woke up in the middle of almost every night, until I realized the majority of the most beautiful ideas I've ever come up with, including this one I'm sharing with you right now, are a result of me getting up in the middle of the night to journal about the overwhelming amount of ideas flowing through my mind. Maybe it's not anxiety. Maybe it's our creative gift. Maybe it's not mental health issues. Maybe it's just being human. Maybe it's not right or wrong, good or bad, win or failure. Maybe it just is. Perception creates reality. And that's where the most important point comes in. By definition, perspective can only be born out of contrast. Therefore, one of the wisest pursuits you can ever undertake as a human is to pursue contrast, balance, growth, rest, and all the range of human experience. You cannot know what it means to win without ever knowing failure. Embrace both sides of the game. This is why the rest day is so important in the semen retention formula. So here's the complete 3-step formula to finally turn your deepest pain into your greatest power. Number 1, know your outcome, the law of attraction. How do you expect the universe to give you what you want if you're not even sure what it is yourself? Action steps. Number 1, uncover your ultimate version of greatness. Grab a piece of paper or open the notes app on your phone right now, put a 15-minute timer, and create a list of the most exciting results you could possibly imagine in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality over the next decade of your life. I want you to write as if you're a 5-year-old kid making a list for Santa. Nothing is off limits. All right, once this is done, you can put me on pause right now and do it. Do it! Okay, now, once this is done, uncover your sacrifice tolerance by creating a list of everything you're not willing to sacrifice on the road to greatness. Urgency in a context of low sacrifice tolerance creates the most dangerous distractions. I've learned that lesson the hard way. It's like, sure, you can technically go from 10K to $1 million of income in a year, but good fucking luck trying to do it without sacrificing most of your health, sanity, and relationships. The reason I'm putting so much emphasis on decades instead of years is because it might be worth doing whatever the fuck it takes if someone is about to die or be born. But in any other case, that type of urgency will only set you up for disappointment. Good. So once you've done those 2 steps, take a screenshot or take a picture of these lists and post them in the Take Action section of the community. As Tony Robbins wisely said, most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying in any shape or form that your goals are not achievable. Quite the opposite. I'm actually a huge believer that every single person in this world has infinite potential and can absolutely achieve anything they want as long as they don't give up or die. But I'm also a believer in truth. And what I am pointing to is the importance of being conscious of the sacrifices you're willing to make when you're setting the time frame for these goals. That's it. Okay? So step number 2, start problem solving your way to greatness. This is the law of evolution. Action steps. Number 1, now that you know what you want to create and the sacrifices you're not willing to make, it's time to figure out what type of person you would need to become to achieve that vision within these conditions. Remember how I made you write down a list of what is the most exciting, inspiring, and legendary version of you could imagine? It's time to expand that list and go even further. Go all in. It's time to add stuff. Go. Good. So now here's the problem you're going to solve. There's a gap between the person you are right now and the person you want to become. How are you going to solve it? By closing that gap. What would you need to start doing right now to build an undeniable stack of proof that you are already becoming that person? Start voting for that new identity with your habits. What would the optimal weekly schedule look like for that person? Create your first draft right now, and once it's done, take a screenshot or a picture of it and post it in the Take Action section of the community. I'm serious. These steps matter. Don't underestimate them. And last but not least, commit to constant and never-ending improvement. Do that routine for a week. Notice what works. Do more of what works. Notice what doesn't work. Replace it with something new or something that already works, and then repeat. And step number 3, to turn your deepest pain into your greatest power, rest and celebrate your progress along the way. Law of polarity. That's where we let the positive reinforcement feedback loop work its magic. So here are your action steps. Respect your scheduled rest and celebration days as if your success depends on it, because it does. Progress and rest aren't 2 separate things, they go together. Make sure to keep that principle in mind and schedule small moments to celebrate every step of progress along the journey. Hustle culture will always make you feel guilty about it, but trust me, the quality of your life in the long term depends on it. Work hard, but rest harder. Number 2, create a regular habit of writing down your wins. As we've already seen before, we don't experience reality. We experience an inner representation of reality through our senses. There are millions of bits of information entering our brains at every moment of our lives, and experts from various major scientific fields are now agreeing that the only way we can make sense of it all is through a story. All your beliefs, values, and perspectives about who you are and what life is are just subconscious stories you perceive as truth. And since beliefs create action and action creates results, there is no greater way to shift your results than to shift your story. Let me actually share a story with you to paint a clearer picture here. Writing down my wins is one of the most powerful tools I've ever discovered, and I discovered it by accident. When I started my newsletter in the summer of 2024, I slowly realized through trial and error that what most people love to read were stories about how I faced my darkest demons, not theoretical philosophy. It actually makes total sense. Think about the movies you would watch, okay? What types of characters grab your attention and inspire you most? Would you watch a movie about a character who complains from the beginning to the end, playing it safe and never taking any risks? Or what about a character who's totally happy and satisfied the whole time without having to face any obstacles? Boring! What we're craving are courageous, selfless characters overcoming obstacles, fighting dark forces and demons and shit for something greater than them. That's what we call a hero's journey. and it's the most successful storyline in history. It's the story of Harry Potter, The Matrix, The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, The Avengers, Spider-Man, The Lion King, etc. It's also what makes real-life leaders like Jesus, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and Socrates so inspiring. The truth is, we all have these winning stories. We just tend to take them for granted. If you're alive, it means you've already overcame obstacles, because if you had given up, you would be dead. We all have a mission to accomplish, so goals. We have dragons to slay, problems, and we have treasures to share, legacy. By the way, right here you have the image of the hero's journey, which was initially kind of conceptualized by the author called Joseph Campbell. He's a legend. Check his books out, check his stuff out. You can put it on pause right now to look at that little cycle. Okay. When I began framing my life as a hero's journey is when I unlocked a type of confidence I've never experienced before. The type that is so deep and strong, yet so humble. The type of confidence you would expect from a world-class leader. You start walking differently. You know who you are and what you've gone through. There's a sense of faith and certainty that no matter what happens, you will be okay. Fear loses its power and courage takes its place. Alex Hormozy once shared a story I love, where he said, when my business partner asked me how to predict my behavior in a certain situation, I told him, whatever creates the most epic story, that's what I'll do. Bottom line, stories matter. They fundamentally shape your experience of reality. Start rewriting your story. You don't need to have a newsletter. Just schedule 10 to 15 minutes every evening to note down some of your wins, whether from today, the past week, the past year, or any other moment in your life. Reflect on the progress you've made. When it comes to building a positive reinforcement feedback loop, few habits can be more powerful. You are the hero of your own journey. Make that shit epic. Make your first list of 5 different wins right now, and once it's done, take a screenshot or a picture of that list and post it in the Take Action section of the community. Wow. Talking about something worth celebrating. You just officially finished the entire course. Did you know that literally 90% of people never finish their online courses? Congratulations, my brother. That is a huge win. Keep that momentum going. Don't settle for less than you can be and do and give. Now is the moment where your darkest curse is finally becoming your greatest blessing. There's a deeper reason behind all of the suffering you've gone through over the years. It was just preparing you for this next season of your life. This is the beginning of your epic comeback story, my brother. It has been my honor to serve you, and I'm very excited to connect with you soon. By the way, as I promised at the beginning of the course, I actually have a bonus surprise for you. I really think it's going to serve you well on the journey. I know it surely did for me. So with that being said, I'm very excited to share the next bonus module with you. Much love, my brother, and I'll see you there.